You're worth $650 million, and nobody would guess it. Not the woman at the pharmacy who asks if you want the store brand because it's cheaper. Not the kid at the gas station who watches you put regular into a 6-year-old SUV with a dent near the wheel well. Not the couple next door who think you're good with money in that vague way people say someone is handy because he owns a drill and knows how to fix a sink. They don't think you're poor. That would be too dramatic. They think you're ordinary, stable, comfortable, the kind of person who probably did fine. A few rentals maybe, some retirement accounts, a small business if they really stretch their imagination. They are wrong by several $100 million. And the strange part is, you helped create that misunderstanding on purpose. Not with lies, not with some elaborate disguise, just with restraint, a quiet, disciplined refusal to perform what most people think wealth is supposed to look like. Because what people call looking rich is usually just expensive theater, the leased car, the watch with a name that needs to be visible from across a restaurant table, the house that announces itself before you even ring the bell. It's all signaling, all surface, all noise. You chose something else. You chose to become difficult to read. It starts on a Thursday afternoon in a grocery store parking lot. Your cart has paper towels, coffee filters, 2 boxes of trash bags, plain Greek yogurt, light bulbs, and a gallon of white vinegar, because one of your maintenance guys swears it works better than half the cleaning products in the store. You are loading everything into the back of a dark blue Toyota Highlander that still has the dealership plate frame on it because you never bothered changing it. A man in an electric Mercedes parks 2 spaces over, clean white sneakers, fitted quarter zip, sunglasses that cost more than your monthly grocery bill. He nods at you the way people nod at strangers they have already categorized. Harmless, middle-aged, practical, invisible, you nod back. He has no idea the strip center he drove past on the way here sends you rent checks every month. He has no idea the self-storage facility 15 minutes south of town is held through an entity you control. He has no idea the regional commercial cleaning company servicing office parks across 3 counties moves cash through your accounts with a steady rhythm of utility income. He sees a man loading vinegar and paper towels into an SUV. And that is exactly what you want him to see. Because once people think they understand you, they stop looking more closely. And when they stop looking, the world gets easier to move through. That lesson did not come all at once. It arrived slowly over years through observation. You noticed that the more visible someone's money became, the stranger their life became around it. Conversations changed temperature. Invitations carried subtext. Advice became requests. Requests became expectations. Casual relationships began leaning toward opportunity. You watched this happen to other people first. A guy you knew from college sold a software company for more money than he had the emotional vocabulary to process. Within a year, he had cousins pitching him restaurants, acquaintances texting on weekends for coffee, and people who had never once asked how he was doing suddenly becoming deeply interested in his time. He didn't become less kind. He became less free. That got your attention. So when your own number started growing beyond what could be casually explained, you built habits around not announcing it. Not because you were ashamed, not because you wanted to pretend to be smaller than you were. Because privacy, you realized, is not the absence of wealth. It is one of the benefits of handling wealth correctly. People imagine $650 million arriving through something cinematic. A tech exit, a hedge fund bet, some perfectly timed move into a market nobody else saw. They want a story with speed in it. They want genius or luck or spectacle. What they do not want is the truth, because the truth sounds too boring to admire. The truth is asphalt, laundry, storage units, cleaning contracts, long leases, ugly parcels of land near highways, old equipment that still works, and years of choosing cash flow over applause. It begins, as these things often do, with something so unremarkable almost nobody else would have paused long enough to notice it. A car wash. Not a luxury detailing concept with branding and content in cold brew in the waiting area. A coin-operated car wash off a service road near a working-class neighborhood where people came because they needed salt off winter doors and mud off truck tires and did not care about the experience. You were 33, not wealthy, not broke either. You had saved enough to recognize opportunity if it looked ugly enough. The owner was tired. The property was functional. The books were a mess. The bays leaked. One vacuum only worked if you kicked the side panel. The lot looked like nobody had loved it in 15 years, which was perfect because neglected does not always mean broken. Sometimes it means unoptimized. Sometimes it means a decent machine trapped inside an exhausted human schedule. You bought it for less than some people spend trying to look successful for 2 summers in a nice zip code. The first year wasn't glamorous. You cleared enough to prove the thing had bones. The second year, after better lighting, cameras, clearer pricing, a cleaner sign, and modest repairs, the cash flow stabilized. Not explosive. Reliable. Reliable is where sophisticated people lose interest. That was your edge. You were not searching for stories you could brag about. You were searching for assets that kept solving the same dull problem over and over again. Wash the car. Store the boxes. Clean the building. Park the vehicle, handle the trash, fix the drain, do the thing humans keep needing done, whether the market is euphoric or bleeding. You learned that fortunes can be built inside needs nobody wants to turn into a podcast episode. So, you kept going. A storage facility came next, then a second one, smaller, on the edge of a town large enough to need space and small enough to avoid serious competition. Then a commercial cleaning company whose founder wanted out after 30 years because his knees were bad and his daughter had no interest in inheriting mop buckets, payroll headaches, and contracts with school districts. You learned more than you intended to. About floor machines, about insurance claims, about how often people are late with invoices when they smile too much in meetings, about how many businesses look healthy until you read the customer concentration, about how often an owner says it runs itself when they really mean they have been holding it together with memory and caffeine. But underneath the mess, there it was again. The same architecture, quiet demand, useful service, repeating behavior. Human beings doing the same thing next week that they did this week. A dentist still needs clean floors. A contractor still needs somewhere to park equipment. A family still needs a place to put the furniture they swear they'll deal with next spring. A commuter still pays to leave a car somewhere. A warehouse still needs waste hauled. None of this is exciting. That's why pricing power hides in it. Exciting markets attract attention. Attention attracts competition. Competition reduces peace. You decided very early that peace had a margin. So while other people chased sectors that made them feel intelligent at dinner, you kept accumulating operations that made you money on Tuesday mornings. The portfolio began to resemble a collection of things nobody would brag about owning at a cocktail party, and everybody would hate losing access to by Friday. That is a beautiful category to live in. By the time the number first passed 8 figures, your external life barely changed. You still lived in a normal house on a quiet street where people took Halloween seriously and lawn care a little too personally. You still bought socks in multi-packs. You still wore jackets until the zipper actually died, not until the fashion cycle told you they were done. This wasn't some monk act. You weren't punishing yourself. You spent when it mattered. You solved problems with money. You paid for convenience. You paid for competent lawyers, sharp accountants, preventative maintenance, fast Wi-Fi, decent shoes, and people who did what they said they would do. You just didn't spend emotionally in public. That distinction matters more than most people realize. A lot of spending isn't about comfort. It's about display. It's about trying to buy a visible version of internal certainty. You discovered you no longer needed that. Maybe you never did. So the house remained normal. The car remained practical. The wardrobe remained forgettable. Your restaurant choices improved, but not in a way that made anyone lean back in their chair. You flew well when necessary, quietly when possible, and privately only when the math actually made sense, which was far less often than people fantasize. From the outside, you looked like a person who understood maintenance. From the inside, you understood optionality. That was the real luxury, not the object, the flexibility behind it. The fact that your calendar did not own you. The fact that a bad month in one business did not reach into your throat because 7 others kept moving. The fact that you could leave a room, walk away from a deal, ignore a trend, wait out nonsense, and let other people rush themselves into mistakes. Nobody sees optionality. That's part of why it's valuable. At a networking event, one fall, a man in a perfectly fitted white t-shirt that cost an absurd amount asked what you did. You told him the truth. A few service businesses, storage, cleaning, some commercial property, nothing exciting. You watched his face make the calculation in real time. The SUV, the fleece, the plain answer. He smiled politely and turned half a degree towards someone else. In his head, you had already been sorted. Comfortable? Maybe. Serious? Probably not. Interesting? Definitely not. Good. That small, quiet dismissal was worth more to you than anything else that happened that night. Because the moment someone underestimates you, they stop watching you. And the moment they stop watching you, you can do almost anything. This is what people get wrong about looking ordinary. They think it's modesty. They think it's a personality trait. Maybe for some people it is. For you, it's strategy. Ordinary is armor. The SUV isn't a statement, it's a tool. It starts every morning, handles weather without complaint, draws exactly 0 attention in any parking lot in America. The house does the same thing. The clothes do the same thing. They remove friction. They quiet the room. They let you move through your own life without constantly triggering other people's assumptions. Because the moment people know what you have, they begin relating to what you have instead of to you. Conversations shift. A cousin you haven't heard from in 3 years suddenly remembers your birthday. Someone at church mentions a business idea they've been thinking about. A brother-in-law starts talking about a deal that just needs a little seed capital. It's not always malicious. Most of it isn't even conscious. It's just what money does to the air once people can see it. So you keep the air clean. The fleece, the SUV, the normal house, the carefully maintained appearance of someone who is doing fine but not exceptionally. It costs you almost nothing, and it returns something money genuinely cannot buy once it is gone. Uncomplicated human interaction. Your best friend since college is named Marcus. He was at your mother's funeral. He is the kind of man who calls on a random Wednesday just to check in. No angle, no ask, just calling. 3 months ago, Marcus called, and this time there was something under the conversation. He had spent 2 years building a food business. Good product. Strong local following. He wanted to expand. He needed $85,000. You could have sent that money before the call ended, but you didn't. You listened, and you felt the full weight of what it means to know exactly what you could do and choose not to do it. Because money handed to someone who isn't structurally ready for it doesn't solve the problem. It accelerates whatever is already there. So instead of wiring the money, you sat with him, went through the numbers, helped him find the leaks, helped him restructure the plan, helped him build it the right way. He got approved, signed the lease, called you crying the night he got the keys. You did not tell him what you could have written the check for. You will probably never tell him. That isn't modesty. It's just an understanding of what the story needed to be. The actual crossing of $650 million happens on a Thursday morning. You are standing in the plumbing aisle of a Home Depot. One of the laundromat locations has a utility sink with a slow drain. You are holding a bottle of drain cleaner in one hand and your phone in the other when the notification comes in. Quarterly summary. Final. You open the email. You read the summary line twice. Your total verified net worth has crossed $650 million. You stand there under fluorescent lights. A forklift is beeping somewhere in the back. A man in a gray hoodie is comparing copper fittings a few feet away. Nobody is looking at you. Nobody knows. This is the moment. Not a bottle of champagne. Not a celebration. Not applause. Just fluorescent lights. Hardware store air. A number on a screen that has been accumulating quietly through years of ordinary decisions nobody photographed. You thought it would feel different. It doesn't. Because the feeling was never about the number. It was about the architecture, the proof of concept, The quiet satisfaction of a system running exactly the way you built it to run. Without drama, without applause, without anyone in that aisle having any idea. You reply with 3 words. Thanks, looks right. Then you pick the drain cleaner back up, walk to checkout, and go back to your day. Same road, same SUV, same outside life. Nothing visible has changed. And maybe that is the strangest luxury of all, to have built something enormous inside a life that still fits inside ordinary language. To know that the performance of wealth and the architecture of it are almost never found in the same person at the same time. And the knowing leaves you with one quiet question. What are you actually building? And who is it really for?